Chapter 96. The filming paused. The actors got their makeup touched up. Once the break started, the two of them immediately picked up their scripts and started rehearsing their lines to each other. Guo Hui stood between them while they were getting their makeup done, not resting for a minute as she continued talking about the scene. There were still 2 scenes left to film, and then they were done with filming. It was just about right on schedule, finishing in the middle of December. This way, everybody would be able to go home to celebrate New Year's Eve. In order not to delay, Liu Jiwei and Sang Wansi both put in 120% of their effort. Okay, then we will start filming from that area. You two get into character, and we'll start once you're ready. Okay. Okay. Guo Hui returned to her seat, waiting for the two of them to signal to her before she picked up the speakerphone and notified everybody that filming was about to start. The goddess should be surprised that the person she loved forgot her after taking the potion of forgetfulness. There were many kinds of love. Her love was one kind, treating the other person well and thinking of them, wanting to help them escape and being open about it. Hating because of love was another. Lin Huairou had rejected her numerous times, citing that she liked Zhou Mingshan, and the goddess believed it. Even though Lin Huairou eventually killed her husband, the goddess still did not doubt her. There were too many kinds of love. Even if it was hatred born out of love, it was still a kind of love. So in the goddess' eyes, Lin Huairou hated Zhou Mingshan because of love, she was rebelling and seeking escape. But she had forgotten. Her believer knew how to lie. Lin Huairou would lie that she had no sorrows, that she didn't like chestnut pastries, and that she didn't like to travel far. All of her likes were lies, even. Liu Jiwei got into the goddess character, looking at the person in front of her in a daze. The person in front of her looked at her like she was a stranger, lost yet wary. She felt pained, yet a little happy. So it was not one-sided. So you like me too? She reached out, wanting to hold Lin Huairou's hand, but Lin Huairou frowned and dodged. Who exactly are you? But the goddess no longer wanted to miss this opportunity. She wouldn't let go of her, never again. The goddess grabbed Lin Huairou's hand, her expression becoming gentle as she looked at the beauty in front of her. I'm your wife. Lin Huairou froze, forgetting to move. The goddess held her hand tightly, her expression firm. I was originally a nameless beggar, but you saved me when I was hurt. I'm now called Ayu, it's the name you gave me. Then, we fell for each other. You might not remember it, but I do. Wife, the goddess pulled her slowly into an embrace and smiled. We agreed to go to Xiling and see the Butterfly Valley. Let us go tomorrow, okay? Xiling. Butterfly Valley. Lin Huairou placed a hand over her heart, the wariness in her eyes disappearing to leave only uncertainty. I do not know why, she said, although I do not remember you, but hearing you say that, my heart is so happy. Fell for each other. Her heart remembers it. Her heart was rejoicing because the person in front of her was her wife. Hearing that, the goddess was happy but also saddened. She hugged Lin Huairou even tighter, apologizing silently in her heart. Clearly, we loved each other, but I could not see your heart and I made you endure all this by yourself. If I had known from the start and brought you away, would you be happier? Lin Huairou decided to believe in her heart. She lightly hugged Ayu, grabbing her clothes as she asked, why cannot I remember you? Ayu, why can't I remember you? It is okay, the goddess kissed her forehead, comforting her gently. We have time, you'll remember. She knew better than anybody else whether one could still recover their memories after drinking the potion of forgetfulness. But she was still willing to give Lin Huairou a beautiful expectation. Even if she couldn't recall, it was fine, take it as a brand new start for the two of them. Lin Huairou forgot about Ayu, but she didn't forget about what happened in the Zhou family. She looked up at Ayu, reaching out her blood-stained hands. Ayu, I killed Zhou Mingshan. I killed Zhou Mingshan. The goddess held her hands, pulling out a handkerchief to wipe them clean. She was not willing to let the blood of scum like Zhou Mingshan dirty her wife. It is heaven's will. Zhou Mingshan did too many evil deeds, heaven could no longer abide him. She pointed at her own statue. Furan's heart is kind and you have accumulated virtue, so the goddess protected you and wanted to let you leave the Zhou family to have your own life. Lin Huairou looked at the statue of the goddess in the hall. She heard the person beside her say, Furan once prayed to the goddess for good and evil to be rewarded. Lin Huairou looked back at the goddess. The goddess smiled, this is the miracle that the goddess has performed for wife. The goddess likes you the most. She will fulfill any wish you make. As long as you ask it of her. Lin Huairou looked at her calmly, slowly accepting this. Because everything the goddess had said matched up with the memories in her brain. But she could not find any trace of the person in front of her in her memories. She had forgotten the person in front of her. She had forgotten the person she loved. Ayu, Lin Huairou reached out, hugging the goddess tightly. Thank you for not leaving me. The goddess paused. She knew what Lin Huairou meant, but it felt more like she was thanking the goddess for all the companionship in the past. Lin Huairou must have been very happy to have her company back then too. You are my wife, I will never leave you. The goddess promised solemnly. Guo Hui sat behind the monitor as she watched Liu Jiwei and Sang Wansi hug each other tightly. The two of them had grasped every emotion that they needed to portray. The sweet would come after the bitter, their hearts were connected. It was as if they would live happily ever after. But things were never that simple. Wen Zhuang would not be so good-hearted to write a happy ending right now either, or her gods would no longer exist. If they suffered 3 punishments from the heavens would be in vain. After the goddess made her promise to Lin Huairou, lightning crackled down outside the building. Lin Huairou jumped in shock, but still remembered to protect the goddess. Her mind was telling her that her wife was afraid of lightning. The goddess knew that there was no escaping the retribution of heaven. Since she could not escape, then there was no need to hide from it. She pulled out her treasure pouch and stuffed it into Lin Huairou's hand, her expression stern and serious. Wife, hold on to this, wait for me to return. When I return, we will go to Xiling and see the Butterfly Valley together. Seeing her like this, Lin Huairou suddenly felt sorrowful and helpless. Something was waiting for her Ayu to solve it, but she couldn't do anything. Okay, Lin Huairou held onto the pouch tightly. I will wait for you to return. The goddess looked at her, a deep look in her eyes, as if she wanted to carve Lin Huairou's appearance forever into her mind. Next, the storyline of the goddess getting punished by the heavens would be completed from Lin Huairou's perspective. So Liu Jiwei left the scene first, leaving behind Sang Wansi. Through the camera, Sang Wansi held onto the white, cloud-embroidered pouch, staring at the doors of the hall. When the silhouette of the person she loved disappeared completely, she finally looked away and walked to the statue of the goddess, kneeling on the thin mat. She put her hands together, looking sincere. Please protect Ayu and keep her safe, goddess. Please protect Ayu and keep her safe, goddess. After a moment, the sound of lightning crashing to the ground rang out. Lightning flashed in the sky, the horrifying white light tearing through the sky and hitting the top of the mountain, threatening to devour the mountains and rivers. Lin Huairo's heart suddenly felt panicked. She got up quickly, not caring about her manners. Her skirt slid across the ground as she took hasty steps. She clutched the pouch in her hand tightly as she looked towards the direction that the lightning had landed. She did not know what was there, she was just worried that the person she loved would be scared while she was outside, worried the lightning would hit the person she loved. Worried that the person she loved would not be able to return. The gods were angered and the lightning came down without rest. On this lonely night, the lightning shook the earth. Everybody in the city was witnessing this. The lightning was striking at the mountain, but it felt like it was landing right in front of them. People were scared and screaming. One after another, the sky sent down 3 bolts of lightning. Lin Huairou stood at the window. Suddenly, she recalled something Kui Luo had said. Gods would no longer exist if they suffered 3 punishments from the heavens. She had not had time to react when a sound came from behind her. She quickly turned back, only to see that the statue of the goddess had cracked. After a short while, the crack spread as the statue crumbled. The arm was broken, landing heavily on the floor. The body was completely torn apart and crumbled slowly, finally collapsing. Smoke and dust were everywhere. After everything calmed down, there was no longer that solemn statue of the goddess in the hall. All that was left was a pile of useless rubble. Thump! The pouch fell to the ground. Lin Huairou lifted a hand slowly to her eyes, then pulled it away and looked at it. She didn't know when her tears had started falling. Cut good. Very good. Guo Hui got up and praised Sang Wanxi's acting. Sang Wanxi took a few seconds to get out of character, rubbing away her tears lightly. The collapse of the stone statue was all dependent on post-production effects, she was acting without any physical object right now. But this did not affect her. Just thinking about the fate of the 2 main leads would make anybody upset. Liu Jiwei handed her a tissue. Sang Wanxi took it. Liu Jiwei gently patted her head, "You have worked hard." Sang Wanxi smiled warmly with red eyes, "Jiwei has worked hard too. Acting wasn't just one person's job, it was people coming together for the best effect." Guo Hui lifted a hand and looked at her watch, then waved her arm, "We will stop filming here, let us pack up and go back and rest. Jiwei and Wanxi, you two get a good rest too. The filming today was good, we'll continue filming the Butterfly Valley scene tomorrow when we return to An City. Once that's done, we'll be done with filming. Rest early everybody, we still have to catch our flight tomorrow." There was an existing Butterfly Valley outside of An City. The scriptwriter Wen Chuang had visited it before. There were mountains and lakes and a sea of flowers, it was beautiful. But the park didn't publicize it much, so not a lot of people visited it. Guo Hui felt that since it was a local scenic spot, then she might as well promote it. If she could contribute to An City's tourism, then even better. It was not a problem even if it was winter. If there weren't enough flowers and butterflies, they could always be added in during the post-production process. It was good enough to have a ready-made valley. And it just so happened that the Butterfly Valley was in An City. After the filming was done, everybody would go home and rest. Knowing that they would be leaving soon, Liu Jiwei took her phone from Wen to snap some photos. Taking a selfie wasn't enough, she got her girlfriend to take a photo with her too. The 2 of them stood in front of the statue and took a few selfies together, then picked a photo each to post to Weibo to promote the movie. Immediately, the Night Owl fans replied and expressed their excitement for the movie, hoping it would be aired soon so they could see their collaboration. Liu Jiwei and Sang Wanxi looked at each other, smiling. They wanted to see it too. After all, this was their first movie together, and their first time working on a same-sex relationship movie. It would be false to say that they were not looking forward to the reviews. Liu Jiwei could not help but think, it would be even better if Shackles can help Wan Si directly complete the agreement with Chairman Meng. The next day, the sky was clear with no snow and the flight was punctual. All of the production crew flew back to An City and traveled to the Butterfly Valley. Before filming, the crew had already spoken to the management of the park where the Butterfly Valley was. They welcomed the filming. Both parties had signed a contract promising that the crew would not damage the park and the park had to keep the filming under wraps. In order not to disturb the filming, the management had even closed the park for a day, although the valley was so quiet that there was not much need to do so. It was the first time Liu Jiwei had been here. There were flowers everywhere, and butterflies fluttering around freely. She had never heard of An City having a butterfly valley before. Now, it was clear that she did not know much about An City, there were still many places for her to explore. Thinking about it, she decided to explore more with Sang Wan Si when they had time. Sang Wan Si had no objections. Before filming started, the two of them sat behind the set. Liu Jiwei looked at Sang Wan Si's head and asked, "Has your head hurt lately?" Sang Wan Si shook her head. Liu Jiwei was relieved, joking, "Then your headache is pretty sensible, it knows not to disturb you when you are working." Hearing that, Sang Wan Si chuckled and handed Liu Jiwei the cup of warm water she was holding. "Drink some water, Jiwei." Sang Wan Si had still combed her hair into a hairstyle that married women wore, but she wore simple, clean clothes. She did not look as dignified anymore, but she looked even more gentle. But it suited it. Or rather, there was nothing that did not suit her face. Liu Jiwei reached out and helped Sang Wan Si adjust her collar, then took the water and drank it. Zhang Xianrui had some time today, and she planned to watch Sang Wan Si finish filming then bring her away. When she got the set, this was the scene that awaited her. She halted, suddenly feeling like the atmosphere between her artiste and Liu Jiwei was a little sweet. Sweet until a third person couldn't barge in. She finally felt like something was not right. A bold thought floated to the surface. The two of them would not like each other, would they? The scene was set. Sang Wan Si followed Guo Hui's instruction, obediently standing under a stone wall. The Butterfly Valley had layers of naturally formed rock walls and crannies of all sizes. The mouth of the valley was like a round disc. The warm sun could be seen just by looking up. The inside of the valley was filled with flowers and dancing butterflies, the fragrance filling the nose. There was even a small ancient-looking pavilion in the valley for visitors to rest at. There was a small dirt road for entry and exit, and you could see the whole sea of flowers from the exit. If there was a breeze, the flowers would sway in the wind. It was suitable to come here during the spring, summer, and fall. Although it still looked good in the winter, the wind cutting across their face was too cold. Guo Hui immediately started filming after checking everything was in order. All the crew members were focused. Sang Wan Si lifted her skirt, stepping into the entrance of the valley. The flowers were swaying in the gentle wind, and the warm sunlight shone on the fragile petals, illuminating them. Suddenly, a butterfly landed on Sang Wan Si's shoulder. Everybody on the set looked at Sang Wan Si. Only to see her raise a finger, and the butterfly flew over and landed there. She smiled at the butterfly, as if she was not disturbed by it. The next second, she waved her hand gently and the butterfly fluttered its wings and took off. The carefreeness of it echoed through the valley. This scene was captured by all the cameras. Guo Hui felt this was good, she wanted to include this in the movie. Sang Wan Si continued into the valley slowly, happiness in her eyes. Lin Huairou had finally seen the butterfly valley she longed for with her own eyes. She could finally see any scenery she wanted in the world without restraints. In the scene, she stood in the middle of the valley, alone. After a moment, someone appeared beside her, laughter in her eyes as she looked warmly at Lin Huairou. Lin Huairou turned and reached out her hand, speaking gently, "Ah you, come." The goddess, no, she was now the mortal Ayu. Ayu also had her hair combed in a hairstyle that married women wore, and she held Lin Huairou's hand as she walked to her side. The two of them interlaced their fingers. Lin Huairou asked, "Does it look nice?" Ayu nodded, "It looks nice." Then she saw the pavilion and asked, "Is Roer tired? Let us go there and rest." Lin Huairou agreed, the smile on her lips never fading. They sat in the pavilion and enjoyed the flowers, close to each other as they discussed where they should go next. Lin Huairou couldn't decide, she wanted to visit too many places. Ayu smiled and held her hand, "There is still a long time in this life, we will go to every place that Roer likes." Lin Huairou gazed at her, then smiled radiantly. "Okay, we will go together. From now until the end of our lives, you and I will never part again." The closing scene was of a pair of beautiful women, against the bright sky. Everything in the world seemed to be just as perfect. That was the ending of Shackles, and it perfectly ended the story. Wen Zhuang finally decided to be humane this time. Because she had let the goddess perform the last miracle for the person she loved so they could finally get married and have a happy ending. Shackles had finally finished filming. After successfully completing it, everybody was incredibly happy, applauding loudly. "Thank you to the two main leads for giving us such a wonderful performance, everybody's worked hard." Guo Hui smiled. "Director Guo has worked hard." Director Guo has worked hard too. Wishing everybody a Happy New Year in advance. Happy New Year! Liu Jiwei and Sang Wansi held onto their bouquets, smiling as they wished everybody a Happy New Year. The atmosphere was harmonious. Sang Wansi still had work scheduled, so she left with Zhang Xianrui after taking a photo with the crew. As she sat in the car, she sent a message to Liu Jiwei. The code to the door of her house. Liu Jiwei just got into the car and saw her message, smiling. "Liu Jiwei, why did you send the code for the house?" Baby Sang, "Have not gone back in a while, I am afraid my girlfriend will forget, so I am reminding her." "Liu Jiwei, I did not forget." "Liu Jiwei, it is just like remembering the birthday of my girlfriend, I've remembered it well." Baby Sang, "That's good." Baby Sang, "Jiwei, rest well. Once you are all rested then move your things over. If I have time, I will fetch you." "Liu Jiwei, all right, we will listen to everything our teacher Sang says." Sang Wansi put down her phone, satisfied. She looked at Xiao Qiu in the passenger seat and said, "Xiao Qiu, buy some ingredients and put it in the fridge for me over the next few days." Zhang Xianrui and Xiao Qiu looked at her in curiosity. Zhang Xianrui said, "What are you doing buying ingredients? You do not know how to cook. Are you preparing to learn?" Sang Wansi smiled and looked out the window. "Someone who knows how to cook is going to move in with me. From now on, she will be able to see the person she liked once she returned home. Or if Liu Jiwei went out for work, she could stay at home and wait for her." A life with expectations was better than just sitting at home alone. She did not shy away from discussing it with Zhang Xianrui and Xiao Qiu. After all, to everybody else, she was just very good friends with Liu Jiwei. The expressions of the people around them never seemed to cross the line, just like how they did not dare to confess to each other when they liked each other. Zhang Xianrui raised an eyebrow lightly, able to determine who it was almost instantly. She lifted a hand and propped up her chin slowly. Her artiste would not really have fallen, right? When Liu Jiwei reached home, Liu Shijiao had already cooked a meal. It is nothing special, Liu Shijiao said. Liu Jiwei took a few bites, surprised at how much her sister's cooking had improved. Before she went into the production crew, Liu Shijiao's cooking was definitely inedible and evil. Evil to the point that if people in the culinary world were to set up an evil cooking sect, Liu Shijiao would definitely be invited to be the guardian. Not bad, Jiao, there's an improvement, Liu Jiwei praised. Liu Shijiao chuckled, a little pride on her face, that is for sure, Ying Xize has been testing the poison for me. Liu Jiwei. He is really suffered. Having to eat so much bad cooking, how bitter must his life be? Liu Jiwei put down her luggage and washed her hands before sitting down. Liu Shijiao took a bowl of rice for her. Liu Jiwei said, Jiao, I still has work tonight and might return home late. Do not wait up for me, got it, you still need to work tomorrow, rest early. Liu Shijiao nodded, okay, I know. Then she asked curiously, what work is it tonight? Something offline, Liu Jiwei said. At Xing Mall. Hearing it, Liu Shijiao immediately said, oh, I just went 2 days ago. I saw a huge poster of Sister Wan Si in Xing Mall, it is super pretty. Sister, you can take a look at it when you go over tonight, see how pretty your girlfriend is. Liu Jiwei couldn't help but feel a bit proud, of course, my girlfriend is the prettiest. Seeing her like this, Liu Shijiao could not help but laugh, recalling when she used to fight for the room with Sang Wan Si. When Sister Wan Si comes over next time, I won't dare to fight with her for the room. She probably will not be coming over, Liu Jiwei said. I am planning to move in with her. Liu Shijiao blinked. Liu Jiwei continued, I will leave this place for you. Our Jiao has grown up, it's okay if you live alone, right? Liu Shijiao immediately said, there is no problem at all, sister's happiness is important. Besides, I've lived by myself for a few months already, don't worry. If she could not, then she could call her friends to stay with her. If not, she could call her boyfriend to accompany her. All roads lead to Rome. A younger sister absolutely should not interfere with her older sister's pursuit of happiness. Liu Jiwei was relieved. Let us eat. Close to 10 at night, Liu Jiwei finally ended work. Thinking about the giant poster that Liu Shijiao had mentioned, she did not go back with Wen Yao. She put on her coat and scarf, hiding herself with her cap and mask before she walked out of the mall. Just as Liu Shijiao had said, there was a giant poster of Sang Wan Si. The person in the poster had delicate eyebrows and bright eyes, with the endorsed necklace around her white neck, complementing it perfectly. Very beautiful, especially beautiful. Liu Jiwei couldn't help but take out her phone and take a photo. Although they could see each other every day in the production crew, but she could never get enough of seeing her girlfriend. People walked along the street, with the indicator halos flashing before Liu Jiwei's eyes. All of them were the color of a passerby. Liu Jiwei had already gotten used to it, not reacting anymore. She looked at the photo on her phone, satisfied. Not only that, she even sent it to Sang Wan Si. Liu Jiwei, this female celebrity is so pretty, I wonder whose girlfriend she is. Sang Wan Si was working, so she did not check her phone. Liu Jiwei slowly put her phone away and turned to leave. She lifted her eyes, suddenly realizing someone was looking at Sangwon C's poster like her. It was a face she had never seen before. As expected, the indicator halo popped out above the girl's head. Liu Jiwei's eyes widened. It actually was Gray. Chapter 97. Liu Jiwei stood there in a daze. The grey halo stayed on top of the girl's head for 10 seconds. It was a faint color, as if it could dissolve into the wind at any second and never be noticed again. It was also a color that Liu Jiwei had never seen before. No, she had seen it before, but she just did not notice it then, and it was not so clearly shown in front of her as it is now. The main protagonists had a gold halo. Supporting characters had a deep yellow halo. Passers-by had gentle, pale yellow halos. Then what did this depressing grey color represent? Liu Jiwei's heart suddenly had a bad feeling. She could not be sure what this color represented, but she was sure that the meaning behind this color would make her very uncomfortable. Was it someone who was dying, or was it the loneliness of someone not being cared for? The girl did not notice her gaze, looking up at the giant poster. She looked at Sangwon C like she was looking at the untouchable moon. Suddenly, Liu Jiwei recalled how she looked at the poster of Meng Lianyu that day in the mall as she was holding onto the ice cream. The her at that time was like this too. Lonely, invisible, wanting to walk towards the vibrant, colorful life, yet constantly being defeated by her own knowledge. She stood there, forgetting to leave. Looking at the girl, she pressed her lips together tightly. Lao Wu. Lao Wu seemed to have been around the whole time, replying immediately once he heard it. Liu Jiwei flexed the fingers of the hand she had stuffed into her pocket. She wanted to point at the girl, but that was rude and strange, so she clenched her fist instead. She looked at the girl. She knew that Lao Wu could definitely see the girl too. Tell me, what does that grey halo mean? Before Lao Wu could reply, the girl suddenly turned to look at her. Their eyes met. Even with people walking past them and the noisy environment, they were silent. Soon, the girl looked away and turned to leave. Lao Wu didn't say a word. He knew she would be able to find the answer herself soon. Liu Jiwei's eyes followed the girl, as if there was a strange magnetic force. Her heart was filled with doubt. She couldn't ignore that grey halo. The girl held onto the strap of her bag as she continued walking forward alone. After a few steps, she suddenly stopped and turned around. Liu Jiwei still didn't move. The two of them looked at each other from afar. Liu Jiwei knew she shouldn't be staring at someone like this, but she had no choice. Because the feeling this girl gave her was too familiar, just like the old her. Then, the girl's eyebrows wrinkled in confusion. She moved left and right, as if trying to determine where Liu Jiwei was looking. When she realized Liu Jiwei was looking at her, she immediately covered her mouth, disbelief on her face. Seeing her reaction, Liu Jiwei's heart had found its answer. So she walked over and gently greeted the girl, "Hello." The girl was even more in shock. You've been watching me the whole time." Liu Jiwei nodded. The girl asked uncertainly again, not looking at someone else. Liu Jiwei, not at someone else. The girl's eyes widened as she exclaimed, "You can actually see me." She did not forget her immediately. She didn't treat her like she was transparent. She actually could be seen. Liu Jiwei suddenly felt sad. As she expected, it was someone who had been like her. So there really were more people in this world who were suffering like this. But only her fate had been changed, the rest of them were still struggling with their transparent physique. No, that is not right. She suddenly didn't dare to confirm it. With the accident, the halos could change at any time. Jin Manwen had become a supporting role like that. She couldn't be sure if this person had been born like this or if she had become like this because of the accident. Liu Jiwei could only feel a sort of kinship, speaking gently, "Why would not I be able to see you?" She did not honestly reveal it. When the time came and it was suitable to tell the truth, she naturally would come clean. The girl's hand rubbed against the strap of her bag as she looked down. "Because I am like a transparent person, other people cannot notice me." "Oh, no, I am a transparent person." She was already transparent enough to directly say all these to someone else. It was not a big deal since everybody would forget her once they turned away. She could only live this long because of her determination, but nobody knew when this determination would end. Liu Jiwei was shocked, feeling more and more upset. So they were the same. Seeing her in a daze, the girl thought Liu Jiwei did not believe her, so she continued, "Sigh, it is too complicated to explain it and you probably would not believe it anyway. It is fine, you will forget me once you turn away anyway." A transparent physique was just that, there definitely wouldn't be any surprises. She felt like she could only live like this her whole life, there would not be any miracles. Liu Jiwei smiled, "No, I will remember you." She turned and pointed at Sang Wanxi's giant poster, "The girl who was looking at the poster with me just now." The girl looked at Liu Jiwei doubtfully. Will she remember? Probably not. Liu Jiwei suddenly asked, "You like teacher Sang too?" The girl nodded, praising Sang Wanxi the moment she opened her mouth. "She is pretty and hardworking and super excellent, my dream is to become someone like her." Liu Jiwei smiled at that. This sort of idolizing was really quite similar to how she was when she wanted to become an actress like Meng Lianyu. Because the world was dark, they would subconsciously gravitate towards the light. "I think so too, I like her very much as well. Looks like we have something in common." Liu Jiwei was trying her best to pull their relationship closer. She just wanted to let the other person not feel so lonely. The girl's face showed her happiness, but her smile lasted for just a few seconds. So what if they had something in common when they parted ways? They would become strangers again. Other people's liking would congregate together, only she would be left outside. Seeing it, Liu Jiwei asked for her WeChat. She couldn't ignore this girl. Liu Jiwei saw herself in the girl. Because she understood this suffering, so she reached out. Someone had warmed her up, now it was time for her to warm others. Liu Jiwei took out her phone and said, "WeChat or QQ is fine, up to you, I use both of them." But at this moment, Sang Wanxi suddenly called her. She quickly hung up. Liu Jiwei. This was the first time she had ever hung up on Sang Wanxi. She immediately went onto WeChat to assure her girlfriend, "It is not convenient for me to pick up the call now, I will call you back in a bit, be good." Baby Sang, "Okay." The girl blinked in confusion, "What are we adding each other for?" Liu Jiwei answered, "It's so rare to meet someone who has a common interest while walking down He Street, so I wanted to add you so that we can talk about teacher Sang together. If you feel it is not appropriate, then it's fine not to add me, I was too impulsive." She had rather wished someone would take the initiative to befriend her in the past, or she would not have been stood up so many times in school. The girl was clearly moved, but also troubled. She was someone with a transparent physique, forget about adding her as a friend, other people would forget about her when they turned away. So adding her was pretty much equivalent to not adding her. "But adding me would just take up a spot on your friends list. You will forget me soon." She gripped the strap of her bag. What if I do not? Liu Jiwei said. The girl lowered her head and stayed silent. Then let us just try it. If I do not remember you, then it is just an extra contact. If I remember you, Liu Jiwei smiled, then you'll have an extra friend. You don't lose out on anything either way, right? Her voice was gentle and her eyes curved when she smiled. It was friendly, and people couldn't help but want to get closer to her. The girl suddenly felt like she was right, pulling out her phone and adding Liu Jiwei. The girl's mood became good and she smiled, you can call me Xiao Ying. Liu Jiwei nodded and keyed it in as she spoke, okay, you can call me Xiao Liu. Fang Xiaoying nodded. The two of them parted ways. Fang Xiaoying was still thinking about this incident when she got back. It was basically a miracle to her. But, her face filled with doubt. Why did she feel like she had seen Xiao Liu before? Liu Jiwei lay in bed. The warm, orange glow from the bedside lamp landed silently on the side of her face. Her phone's screen was still illuminated, staying on the conversation with Xiao Ying. So there were other people in this world who were transparent. So there was someone who had the same dark fate as her, coincidentally living in the same place as her. She suddenly thought about that grey halo. The halo would only appear the first time they met. So Xiao Ying could not have had the grey halo before. That means there are more than just two transparent people in an city. And the reason she could see Fang Xiaoying was because of the system. The halo had no effect on the system, so in her eyes, the world was normal. To someone else, even if they were the protagonist, Fang Xiaoying would still be invisible, just like her from before. Sang Wanxi only saw her for the first time after she obtained the male protagonist halo. She put down her phone and closed her eyes, her heart heavy. The next second, there was a vibration beside her. She picked up her phone, it was a call from Sang Wanxi. She suddenly realized she had forgotten to call her girlfriend back and she rushed to pick up the call. Hello. Jiwei, Sang Wanxi's voice was suffused with worry. Are you not done yet? You're still not home yet. Liu Jiwei said embarrassedly, I am home, I was thinking about something so I forgot to call you. Sorry Wanxi, I made you worry. Over the phone, Sang Wanxi suddenly let out a breath, it is good that you are fine. What were you thinking about? Liu Jiwei stayed silent for a moment, then raised a hand to cover her eyes, her voice light, Wanxi, I met someone who's like the old me. Someone who was transparent, who was lonely, who did not dare to hope for anybody to remember her. This type of life was too painful and too hard. Sang Wanxi knew about her transparent existence in the past, and she knew Liu Jiwei had lived painfully. Because of that, Sang Wanxi became friends with her and kept her warm. So she could not help but tell Sang Wanxi about this, believing that Sang Wanxi would understand her emotions. Jiwei. Sang Wanxi fell into silence. She knew what her girlfriend was thinking. Liu Jiwei was a very empathetic person and she had felt the pain of being a transparent person before. She must be feeling bad for the other person at this time. She wanted to console Liu Jiwei to the best of her ability. At least you saw her. Sang Wanxi said. Liu Jiwei suddenly chuckled. That is right, at least she saw her. At least someone remembers. Liu Jiwei put her hand down and started feeling curious. Wanxi, have you never considered that I was lying? Sang Wanxi did not understand. What? Liu Jiwei explained, when I said I was transparent, does not it sound especially ridiculous, but you didn't doubt me at all. In her memory, Sang Wanxi had never seemed to have doubted her before. Even if she said something outrageous like having a transparent physique, Sang Won-si had never expressed doubt. She even took the initiative to care for her, asking about her birthday and becoming friends. She suddenly started worrying that someone would end up using Sang Won-si's kindness to cheat Sang Won-si. Sang Won-si said, "Ji-wei is different." Lu Ji-wei paused, "What is different?" Sang Won-si said seriously, "You have the charisma to let people believe you, so I am willing to believe everything you say." Lu Ji-wei blinked then laughed, "Really, if I tell you that there are monsters in this world, would you believe it too?" Sang Won-si said calmly, "If Ji-wei says it, I believe it. You have never lied to me, and you will not." This sort of absolute trust made Lu Ji-wei feel exceptionally moved. "Of course, I will not lie to my Won-si, this world does not have monsters either. That short occurrence did not count." Sang Won-si calmly smiled. Lu Ji-wei suddenly said, "Oh right, she is even a fan of yours." Sang Won-si, "Is that so?" Lu Ji-wei, "It feels like I can always meet a lot of people who like you, my teacher Sang is indeed the best." Sang Won-si refuted, "It is because Ji-wei likes me, so you will be more concerned about things to do with me." Sang Won-si continued gently, "It is the same for me. Because I like you, so I always feel like you're by my side. The clouds in the sky look like you, the sound of the wind brushing by my ear sounds like you. Everything in the world reminds me of you." Lu Ji-wei's heart felt moved again. Sincere words were always the most touching. "Thank you, Won-si, being able to be with you is the happiest thing in my life." Lu Ji-wei suddenly was filled with motivation. With such a gentle and good girlfriend, she had to work hard to fulfill her promise and give Sang Won-si the life she wanted. "If sister wants to thank me," Sang Won-si's voice deepened and filled with temptation, "then you should move in with me sooner." Lu Ji-wei immediately hugged her pillow and touched her ears. She felt like her ears had just been kissed by the person on the phone, they were red and hot. This little friend really knows how to flirt. Sang Won-si immediately said innocently, "I only flirt with sister." Lu Ji-wei could not take it anymore, burying her whole face into the pillow as she said, "Yeah, okay, I will be dead if you keep calling that. It is late, go to sleep and rest well, understand?" "I got it, sister should sleep early too, good night." "Good night, sweet dreams." The conversation ended here. Lu Ji-wei started looking through her schedule, looking for a day she was free to pack up her things and move. Then after she decided on it, she opened WeChat again and looked at Fang Xiaoying's conversation. She felt sympathy. She opened Fang Xiaoying's moments and looked at her posts. Fang Xiaoying couldn't see her moments, but Fang Xiaoying didn't block Lu Ji-wei from seeing hers. Wen Yao had warned her before that if she was going to add others on WeChat, that she needed to first block them from seeing her moments. So Lu Ji-wei had habitually blocked first. She would unblock after they got closer. Fang Xiaoying's moments only had a few posts. It was obvious she did not like to post them, because nobody would reply. This was something that was different from her. Lu Ji-wei loved to post about everything as a diary to remind herself of events. It didn't matter whether people could see it or reply. She was very experienced in keeping herself entertained. There was not much in Fang Xiaoying's moments, but it was clear that she was a university student in her first year. This morning, she had even posted in her moments about being upset she had no friends, wondering if she had done anything wrong. But even this post had no replies. Looking at the screen, Lu Ji-wei liked the post and left 4 words, "You have one now." When Fang Xiaoying woke up, she was the only one in the dorm left again. There was no class today, so her dorm mates had gone out to play, but they didn't remember her. It was a 4-person dorm room, but it felt like there were only 3 people living in it. Thankfully she was already used to it. She got up and brushed her teeth and started cooking a cup of instant noodles. After she put the lid on to wait for the noodles to be done, she picked up her phone. She typically only looked at her phone when she was bored. Unlike others, she never had to worry that she missed a message because nobody would remember her and send her a message. Even her parents. But today was different, because someone had sent her a message. Xiao Lu, morning, Xiao Ying. Fang Xiaoying was dumbstruck, a question mark followed by another. Someone actually sent me a message. She actually still remembers me. Fang Xiaoying held her phone as tears suddenly welled up in her eyes. She looked at the message again. It was clearly a simple greeting, it was clearly something that other people could get normally. Then, she noticed her moments had a red notification dot. She entered and saw Xiao Lu had left a comment on her post about being upset she had no friends. You have one now. Her rationality evaporated with those 4 words. Fang Xiaoying could not control it anymore, she collapsed onto the table and started crying. As Lu Jiwei was on the way to work, she finally received a reply from her new friend. Xiaoying, thank you. Xiaoying, I am really super happy today. Xiaoying, I do not know how to describe it to you, and it might sound a bit overboard but I really want to cry. Seeing her careful texts, Lu Jiwei felt like she was seeing herself from before and she suddenly felt upset. How could I not know we are the same people? Lu Jiwei, it is good that you are happy. Lu Jiwei, I am very happy I could help you. Lu Jiwei, cry if you want to, crying is a form of release too, it is better than keeping it bottled up. Xiaoying, thank you so much. Xiaoying, I feel like the world has become a bit more beautiful. With this new friend, she finally had the motivation to continue living. Lu Jiwei replied, study well and live well, everything will get better. We still have to watch Teacher Sang get better and better together. Then she put down her phone and looked at the snowflakes drifting outside the window. She hoped that she could still help this girl, even though it was late. But seeing that she was so happy, her appearance probably had given Fang Xiaoying a sense of comfort. Good, it had not gotten to the point of no return. She breathed out slowly, then turned to look at Wen Yao. Xiao Yao, I am going to move out these few days. Even Wen turned back to look at her. Wen Yao asked curiously, where are you moving to? I do not seem to recall you bought a new house. Lu Jiwei smiled, because I am not going to a new house. It is my beloved girlfriend's house. Wen Yao. Wen. This riddle was too hard to guess. The day that Lu Jiwei moved to Sang Wanxi's house, Sang Wanxi had work so she could not drive over to fetch her. She troubled Wen Yao to drive her into Sang Wanxi's neighborhood, then she sent away the girl who had a surprised expression that said your friendship is really as deep as the Pacific Ocean. I will explain next time. She told Wen Yao. Okay, then I will wait for it. Wen Yao left obediently. Lu Jiwei took the elevator up, then suddenly felt like the circle of people who knew about them had to be expanded. Now, it seems like the managers had to know too. She prepared to discuss it with Sang Wanxi when she returned. As long as Sang Wanxi agreed, she would immediately tell the truth to Wen Yao. Sang Wanxi told Lu Jiwei over WeChat that she would reach home around 8 p.m. and she had not had dinner yet. So Lu Jiwei decided to have dinner with Sang Wanxi at 8 p.m., preparing to cook early. Once it was 8 p.m., the sounds of the keypad came from the door. Liu Jiwei immediately put down the soup ladle in her hand and washed her hands to welcome her girlfriend home. In the end, her girlfriend was accompanied into the house by Zhang Xianrui. "Oh, Jiwei, you are here too," Zhang Xianrui greeted her first. Liu Jiwei froze for a second then replied, "Hello, Sister Zhang." She suddenly felt grateful she didn't rush up to hug Sang Wansi. Or that scene. She would definitely have to leave the country. At this moment, Sang Wansi walked to Liu Jiwei and said to Zhang Xianrui, "My new housemate." Zhang Xianrui thought in her heart, indeed. Looking at their distance and how they looked at each other, it felt like something was off. She had suspected her artiste had been crushing on the other person in the past, but now it looks like both of them. Thinking about it, they were close in the past, and they did appear like they were a couple, but if you wanted to say they were just very good friends, there was no way to rebut it either. But was this actually true or did she just think too much? No, she had to ask. As a manager, she had to be able to know the situation of her artistes at all times, or else she could not handle the PR if something happened. "Wansi," Zhang Xianrui stretched her long legs. "Come to the study with me, I have something to ask you." Sang Wansi followed her in. Zhang Xianrui closed the door and cut to the chase. "Wansi, tell me honestly, what is the relationship between the two of you?" Sang Wansi looked up. Outside the study. Seeing Zhang Xianrui close the door, Liu Jiwei turned back to watch over the soup she was boiling. Since she was a little bored, she took out her phone and started scrolling through Weibo and her friends' moments. Then, she saw Fang Xiaoying's newest moment. "Wei Shi Buletin Wan is real. Liu Jiwei. How is it even you are a CP fan?"